Did I just? Okay.
Greetings. Today is Wednesday, May 14th. Time is
We think it's very funny.
regular meeting to order.
Did you just text me your address?
Okay. You.
Oh, okay. Hi. All right. We're calling this meeting to order 7:03. I'll turn it over to Town Clerk for roll call.
Okay. Representative Adams. Here. Bailey. Burrell. Here. Casper. DeGraffenreich. Here. Dutton.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Fritchie.
He is not here. He won't be here this evening.
Okay.
Be notified.
Fox. Frickman.
Here.
Garner A.
Here.
Garner M.
He will not be here.
Okay. Gibbs.
Here.
Good. Hume. Johansson.
Oh, yeah.
Kaden.
Here.
Linder. Luck. Massett.
Here.
Matter.
Here.
McElroy.
Here.
Neifeld. Norman.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Aubrey.
Here.
Perella.
Here.
Powers K. Powers S. Pulaski.
Here.
Swindell. Amritz.
Here.
V.C. Williams. Watson.
Here.
Wells.
Here.
Whitney. And Casper. Did I say
Casper arrived, and I am also here, so we got a
29.
20.
I have 20. I have 29.
Okay, I might have put the wrong number down. 29 it is. All right, so we have a quorum. We can move on to agenda item B, moment of silence, salute the flag. Please stand if you're able, turn around. Representative Burrell, can you lead us in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. With our packets, we received our April 9th meeting minutes. If there's no additions, omissions, revisions, or anything of that, we will move the minutes. We will just approve them. Anything? All right, we don't need to do that. We're good. All right, minutes are approved. Item D, public petitions. This is the portion of the RTM agenda where RTM welcomes comments from the public. Each presentation should be limited to no more than 5 minutes or less as directed by the moderator, and if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be limited to matters pertinent to the town of Groton. The moderator or members through the moderator shall ask questions only in order to clarify the speaker's presentation. Responses may be given by the moderator and/or by the town manager. Individuals should state their names and address for the record, and if you wish to speak virtually, please register by emailing council@groton-ct.gov no later than 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Do we have anybody online? No. All right, and I have 2 on the list. First is Catherine Young.
Good evening. Thank
Good
you for
evening.
giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Catherine Young. I'm at 72 Poplar Road in Groton. And I'm here tonight to urgently oppose the proposed $2.4 million cut to the fiscal year 26 Board of Education budget, and to ask the RTM to fully approve the fiscal year 26 Board of Education budget as recommended by the RTM's own Education Committee. This is because I think the Education Committee recommendation reflects a full understanding of Groton, Connecticut's public schools district student needs, as well as the importance of maintaining strong, well-funded schools and programs. I've been a resident of Groton for 25 plus years, and I've also worked in Groton for that time. I'm a parent and a grandparent of Groton Public School students. I've witnessed tremendous improvements in the school district school system during the last 2 decades. Moreover, I served on the Town Economic Development Commission for several years, including in the capacity of the commission chair. Since the Great Recession, Groton has worked tirelessly to attract businesses, workers, and families to our town. Part of that work focused on the public school system with great success. Groton is admired for its growing reputation in the region and the state. Now is not the time to lose the momentum of success, which is exactly what we will signal by cutting the education budget by $2.4 million in 2026. Our young people and our town deserve better. Our collective future depends on educating all our school-age children to the best of our ability. It takes a dedicated team of parents, teachers, administrators, and funds to achieve it. Let's support them, and by doing so, we support ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Next up is Michael Whitehouse, and that concludes speakers that have signed up.
Hello, my name is Michael Whitehouse, 36 Sunnyside Park. I know many of you because I served in the RTM years ago, and I know that you're in for the most fun time of the year in the RTM, so thank you all for your service. I am also here to talk about the upcoming budget and specifically education. Many people come and they say the taxes are too high, I can't afford it. I'm going to say something you probably don't hear often, which is I pay taxes, I own a home here, I pay a fairly substantial amount in taxes, and I think I get a pretty good deal. Parks and Rec is great, our police department is something to be proud of, and our schools are something to be proud of. I imagine Public Works is great too, but I don't deal with them very much, but I think they're probably pretty good. So we're talking about a $2.4 million cut for education. I will admit, I've been somewhat out of the loop, so I'll let other people deal with all the details. I'm speaking as a citizen resident of the town. When I first came here, when my daughter was growing up, who's back there, when she was somewhat smaller and approaching school age, I was somewhat concerned about sending her to public school. I did not personally have a good public school experience. It was quite negative for me. I ended up going to a private school for a while. And my wife said, "Oh, give it a chance. I went to public school. It's fine." I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll give it a chance." And I did. And I was impressed. Now, she went into kindergarten in 2019, which meant she was finishing kindergarten in 2020, so I didn't have the best impression of the schools, but they handled that pretty well. But as we came out of the pandemic, got to see what the schools really had, I was hearing before my daughter went into school about schools cutting art, cutting music, cutting technology, cutting to the bone. It was basically writing, reading, arithmetic, and nothing else, maybe lunch if you're lucky. And at our schools, we have art, we have music. In fact, I talk to my friends in other states, and I tell them what we have in our schools, and they say, "Oh, your daughter goes to a private school?" And I say, "No, Groton Public Schools has this." In Connecticut, we have some of the best schools in the country, and in Groton, we have some of the best schools in the state, which means we have some of the best schools in the world here. So $2.4 million. I didn't enjoy school, but I did learn some good math, and that's $57 per person. $57 per person. If we break that down per month, that is less than $5 per month per person in Groton to replace this cut. You can no longer get a foot-long sandwich for $5, but we can have some of the best schools in the world for the price of no longer a foot-long sandwich. The RTM has the power to fix this oversight. Now, I understand, I'm sure no one's cutting because they hate children or they hate the future or anything like that. It's because people are worried about being able to pay taxes. They're worried about, the taxes are too high. And for the people who have trouble paying their taxes, that is something that should be addressed. We should set up programs for that, figure out some solution. But the solution is not cutting the schools. The solution is not going back on what has created one of the best school systems around for $5 per person per month. And during the charter revision, we're talking about, why do we have an RTM? What's the point? This is the point. The RTM is that second look. When the council makes a mistake, the RTM can fix that mistake and go forward. So I encourage you to fix that. Put the money back in the budget. Take care of the schools. Let's have some smart people. And it's not just because I have a child in the schools that I care about this. John Green is an author who doesn't have kids. He said, I'm paraphrasing here, could get the quote wrong, but I don't care about funding schools because I care about my kids. I care about funding schools because I care about living in a society of educated people. And that's what we're talking about. $5 per person per month to give them everything they ask for to keep having some of the best schools in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitehouse.
Okay.
If there's anyone else that'd like to speak, now's the time. Vice Chair Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. Adrian Johnson for Haley Farm Lane. I am Vice Chair of the Board of Ed, but also a resident that really cares about this town. So I think some of you had seen this, but I wanted to read it into the record. Over the past 10 years, Groton's funding priorities have shifted away from adequately funding education in clear favor of increasing town operations spending. Between the budget years of FY 17 and 26, Groton's expenditures on operations have increased by 48%, while the school funding is on track to have an increase of only 18% over those 10 years. Averaging inflation in Connecticut is approximately 3.4% per year. So over that similar time. So in real numbers, town operations, which was approximately a third of the size of the school systems in terms of budget in 2017, has increased spending by $14.7 million. So a third of the school system in $14.7 million. Spending on education in Groton has increased by $14.4 million over that same time. So when taxes increase in Groton, the primary driver for those increases over the last 10 years is the cost of non-educational town operation spending. Although Groton school funding requests have been significant over the past 2 years, the educational increases over the 8 years prior to that were a mere 0.7% annually for 8 years. The majority of Groton's town councilors have been condemning the Board of Education's request for spending increases, cutting the Board of Education's FY 26 funding by $2.4 million. The reasoning for the drastic reduction seems to have rung true for the majority of the RTM members when the RTM voted to sustain that number and hold us to a 4.6% increase. That increase includes 1.3% for school nurses, part of a funding transfer historically in the town operations budget before first entering the Board of Ed's budget in fiscal year 26. And more significantly, that percentage is a net zero increase in spending or taxpayer expense. The net increase in spending year over year for education was held to 3.3% in the fiscal year 26 budget, while operations received a healthy 4% increase over the last year's approved budget, without any deliberation or public discussion on the request by the town council. The reasons for Groton's educational needs are strong, and they are supported by the state awarding Groton a financial boost when it comes to ECS funding. In addition to Groton receiving its share of the state calculation of ECS funding given to all towns, Groton was classified as an alliance district by the state. The classification comes with additional financial support by not reducing ECS funding has been done in other districts. Those funds are allocated to the town with the intent of additional support for education, based on the extraordinary need for Groton's student population. As published on EdSite, 67% of Groton's student population are eligible for free and reduced lunch based on family income, and they're categorized as high-need students. And adequate funding is critical in supporting the educational requirements to those students. When comparing how Groton has allocated the state's limited resources over the last 10 years, leading up to the most recent state published data, which is in fiscal year 24, Groton's per pupil expenditure has decreased in comparison with the state average. In 2015, Groton's spending was slightly above the state average, but by 2024, Groton's per pupil expenditure has decreased by 10% compared with state averages, an $8.5 million reduction in educational funding growth in compared to the state. This leads to the question, when it comes to the town's funding priorities, is the town spending those ECS dollars where intended? The $2.4 million cut to the educational budget request will be devastating to the Groton school system if implemented. The education budget is already very tight, and there are no duct tape solutions. The reduction imposed by the town council and currently supported by the RTM will lead to significant losses in the funding of Groton's academic services and programs. Nearly 5% of the board's requested increase is for contractual salary and benefit increases alone, not including inflationary items such as increased operational costs, technology, transportation, and other essential functions the district provides. We agree that the tax increases are a significant burden on our community, which is why we urge the RTM and Town Council to explore other options in funding allocations and the use of the town's fund balance. With this urge, I urge the Groton RTM to reconsider its vote on the Board of Education's FY26 budget request and restore the full amount requested. Thank you.
My name is Ian Thomas, 24 Jefferson Drive. I'm also a Board of Ed member and tax-paying resident and parent of a recent graduate. So I'm just going to read a letter that I think the RTM did receive, but I got word that it was requested to be read into the record, so I'm going to do that now. It's from Vincent Evoli, and it says, Dear RTM members, I'm writing to respectfully urge you to support the full Groton Board of Education budget as originally proposed. According to the detailed budget breakdown, the Town Council has cut the Board of Education's request by more than what is required to cover even the essential expenses, most of which are not within the board's discretion to reduce. The current proposed budget would result in a shortfall, or could result in a shortfall, that directly impacts core staffing and services, particularly in areas already stretched thin. To highlight a few figures, salaries and wages, $3,048,267.52. This includes $1.2 million for nurses and health aides, 5 tutors, 1 social worker, and 1 special education teacher. Employee benefits, $1,365,993.87. Covers health care and OPEB obligations, which we just got an email from the town manager saying that according to MDG consultants, that even that number may be running a little tight or low as to what we should be putting into OPEB. And OPEB, as has been discussed in this body before, it's a long-term investment. It's how we support our retirees. Total necessary personnel costs are $414,280. The Town Council has proposed a budget of only $4,046,091, resulting in a shortfall of approximately $360,000, a gap that threatens essential personnel. Furthermore, the budget as proposed by the Town Council does not account for any increases in other critical areas such as tuition and transportation, which is $104,197.78 contractual and legally required. Contingency for negotiations, $349,999.88, which we have 2 pending contracts coming up for negotiation this year. Special education services, $98,350.68. That's also legal requirements. Property services, $141,037.96, utilities, maintenance, and rentals. Supplies, $828,906.14. This includes computer supplies, which are supplied to all students individually, which helps accommodate for socioeconomic differences. And then electricity and heating, which we know those prices aren't going down anytime soon either, especially electricity. Dues and fees, that's basically how we get contracts and services with consultants with getting our policies and procedures in line with national and state standards. These necessary increases total approximately $1.8 million. Notably, if the town were to continue covering nurse salaries as in the past, the board's additional ask would be closer to $600,000, a far more modest request. In addition, the new obligations previously supported by Department of Defense funding, including IT software, devices, and services, now fall on the Board of Education and must be covered. This includes $82,813 for supplies, $87,958 for equipment, and these numbers are not extravagant. They represent necessary investments in our students' education, safety, and well-being. As a parent and community member, and echoing the concerns of many others in the district, I firmly believe that Groton cannot afford further cuts. We are already operating with insufficient staff. Further reductions will only harm our ability to provide equitable and high-quality education to all students. Please approve the full Board of Education budget without further reductions. That's from Vincent Uvoli, 8 Orchard Lane, and that email should be in your emails if you want to refer to it. So I would urge anyone that have voted in the affirmative to do some
Thomas,
due
your time is up.
diligence and make a motion to reconsider. Thank you.
Is there any other members that'd like to speak?
Hi, Kathy Chase, 146 Indian Field Road. First of all, I was on the RTM for a while, so first of all, I just want to state facts. This is not a cut. They're just their budget is just being reduced from what they're requesting. It is an increase from this year, which means the MBR, the minimum budget requirement, will increase and that won't go down. The other fact is the ECS, as you heard, funding is in question. When we come out of an alliance district, we'll lose more money. This budget cannot keep going up and up and up. Something has to be done about it. They have to live within their means, just like all of us. You also heard that there's, I don't know what the percentage was, 67%, whatever they said. Children are getting free and reduced lunch. How are their parents going to afford a tax increase, either through their rent or through their mortgage? How is that going to happen? Just listen to the facts. They had a 0% increase for 2 or 3 years. It was not a 0% increase. They borrowed from the health savings. From what I read, that's what they're going to do again this year. Instead of finding efficiencies, the first thing is to do is borrow from the health savings, which comes back to bite you later because you're going to have to put that back. So just keep all of that in mind, and I'm asking you not to reconsider because not too many people in this town can afford it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening? All right, I'm going to close down public petitions. We're going to go to item E, receipt of communications. Just noting for the record, Representative Crockett Hubbard, Dean Shinbrock, Gardner M. and Fritchie notified myself that they will not be in attendance today. I was going to read, or at least tell you that we received the letter from Board of Ed Chair and Vice Chair. That was read into the record. We also received a notification from the town manager, and I believe everybody got this on email, that there's a potential loss in ECS funding that came from our Groton delegation. And is there anything else that the membership would like to put into communications? Representative Whitney.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I received 2 communications from people. I don't know who else on the RTM might have, so I'm just going to describe them. One was from Sarah Bruno asking to restore the Board of Ed requested budget, citing concerns about teacher retention and student support resources and positions, saying that the spending per child should be on par with surrounding towns. And Miranda Kraus asking again to restore funding, worried about the cuts to staff, the learning opportunities and extracurriculars, among other things. She thought the RTM Education Committee thoroughly evaluated the request and agreed with their resulting recommendation, and says we should consider the investment in Groton's children as an investment. That's it.
Thank you, Representative Whitney. Any other communications? Representative Perella.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I did receive some of the same communications that the other members did. I also received a communication of a concern regarding the lack of the RTM not reducing other parts of the budget, which the concern was, excuse me, that the 17% window, which then the town manager had sent a letter out, that we could be short because of the council voting to have the 17% as a cushion. However, the 5 million or 5 billion would not be able to be possibly supported because we have to keep the revenue in there, you know, to support that. So that could indicate that we would be then put between a rock and a hard place because we wouldn't be able to fund things without possibly raising the taxes, and that was the main concern that that particular resident had. I've had several other calls by residents that do not want to see the taxes go up, and people are very torn this year. Other communications, they want the education fully funded because we aren't really sure what's going to happen with the federal, and we just got a note from the senator, and I'm not sure what the representative did because I hadn't had a chance to read that, regarding the state funding. So these are all crucial factors that I think need to be communicated, and the RTM has to kind of reorganize a little bit. So I just wanted to communicate that to the administration and then the RTM. You have the chance to do it. There may have to be suspension of rules and all that, but just a comment on that.
Thank you. Any other communications? All right, seeing none, without objection, I'm going to go out of order here and go to agenda item H, report of the
I
superintendent.
had a communication,
Oh,
J.C.
sorry, Representative Watson.
Watson.
Hello. I also got a letter passed on by our town manager from our Senator Heather Summers. And the request was to write to a few people, either by email or whatever, to ask them not to cut ECS funding. I have personally written 4 emails off in that regard, and I was, I guess my plea is for the rest of the RTM to do the same, if you have not.
I'm going to bring that up again, Representative Watson, during a budget discussion in this regular meeting, and I'll give the email address out again in case folks at home want to communicate that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, again, I'm going to go out of order here unless there's an objection to it, and I'm going to recognize the superintendent of schools and the chair of the Board of Ed. Do the report of the superintendent of the schools, and then we're going to move on to your committee so that we can get them squared away, and then we'll talk about procedural issues that we'll do to get that vote passed this evening.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to say I've been so proud to serve this district for 11 or 12 years, and first with Dr. Michael Grenier, and then, you know, during COVID, I got to take over the helm, and I feel like I've had to be an anchor in a lot of ways through COVID and through navigating some of the storms that we've had. And certainly through the past couple years with really tight budgets, even though they did increase. You know, we had a lot of ARP ESSER money that had come our way that really helped us navigate through tough times during COVID. And we were certainly appreciative, but the fall after that was really difficult. And with inflation, just like at home, and the increases that we've seen, the obligations that we have, you know, it's going to be really tough to take the 2.4 million cut. And I know the board is working really hard. We're working together. But there may be, and I know that it's been said by the council, but there may be with a military district and a very transient district where I have 800 students come in and 700 go out. And, you know, that's a lot more difficult to afford because that's a lot more materials that you have and a lot more services that you have to render. One special ed case that might be an outplacement could cost the district $100,000. There could be utility bills that come in that are overstated, like we've had with electricity and taking care of COVID bills that were meant for the past. So I just want to tell you, we'll do our very best to do what we have to do. But if there is a catastrophe like a flood that John Burt knew, we had several of those a couple years ago, or if there are, you know, other situations that we have to come back, we will have to come back. So we're going to be on a tightrope, and I've had to navigate a tightrope since COVID. I'm kind of used to doing it. I'm a Navy kid. I'm pretty resilient. But I just want to tell you that we will have to come back and ask for your support if we have this $2.4 million cut. There is no fluff in this budget. This board can tell you. They have been through every angle. We have looked at every possibility and really are trying to not affect our children with teaching and learning. That is our goal. And I'll do the very best I can. Do you want to say something, Chair? Because she's right by my side here. She's a great chair.
The only thing I would say is I hope that people who voted in the affirmative will ask for reconsideration and restore our $2.4 million back. The Education Committee was in favor of our full budget, and I would hope you all would be also, because, you know, we have a job to do, and that's to educate our students, provide for the staff, and provide for the community also. So I hope somebody in this body will ask for reconsideration, and that you get the 2/3 vote to suspend the rules, and then the 2/3 vote that you need to reconsider, and that you restore the money. Thank you.
And I would certainly appreciate that as well. I just wanted to also say we have scoreboards coming up. They were actually gifted to us by Electric Boat. Electric Boat has been a wonderful partner, educating our kids in the boat program, elementary, middle school, high school. They're helping to support a manufacturing center right at Fitch High School in the auto shop. And if you get my weekly updates, you've seen pictures of that. So we really are so proud in this community, and I want our students, K through 12, to know more about what they love to do and what they're good at, so that when they go off, college and career, but it's really about career, they will have an idea of what they really are looking for that will make them productive citizens. So with this partnership, you know, not only scoreboards, but possibly a manufacturing center at Fitch High School. So it's a lot to be proud of here.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any questions for Superintendent or Board of Ed Chair? If not, we're gonna keep moseying on ahead so we can approve that Education Committee budget, and then we'll go back to the town manager. He's deferred his time till later so we can have the Board of Ed folks leave earlier, okay? So I'm going to recognize Chair Massett. She just had a meeting with her committee for education. The item is 2025-415, scoreboard funding donation acceptance. And if you wanted, you could do it at your seat if you wish to. All right. Make it easier on you.
That Education Committee met this evening at 6:02 p.m. in Community Room 1. Present were Chairperson Massett, Christy McElroy, Representative Frickman on Zoom, Representative Whitney on Zoom, and Representative Fitzgerald on Zoom. Representative Perella arrived at 6:10. Also present were Mark Romano, is that it? The athletic director, and Superintendent Austin. It was to, excuse me, discuss accepting two scoreboards or the funding for two school scoreboards at the middle school. Electric Boat will contribute $45,000, and the athletic boosters will contribute $5,000. The fields are used by not just the students, but also by the community. So, I would move.
What was your vote on?
The vote to accept was 5 in favor, and 1 abstained, Representative Perella.
Okay. All right, and if you could just make a motion to accept these minutes, please.
I move acceptance of my minutes.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Massett, seconded by Pulaski, to accept the minutes from tonight's RTM Education Committee related to item 2025-415. Any questions regarding the minutes? All right, seeing none, I'll move to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. And abstentions. 1 abstain. All right, so that's 28 to 0 to 1. All right, so we're going to do a test run of this because it might appear later on this evening. I'm going to entertain a motion to suspend the rules related to this item specifically, contingent on the approval of the town council approving this expenditure. Typically, all right, so that's my entertaining of motion, if I can get a motion in a second.
Motion to suspend the rules. Second.
All right, and again, the rationale behind this, all right, motion to suspend the rules was moved by Powers S., seconded by DeGraff and Wright. We have 29 members present. We would need a 20 vote, 2/3, in order to pass the suspension of the rules. For those folks that don't know, what's happening right now is typically in the process of expenditures, donations, such like this. Town council would get at this first, and then per Rule 6.3.5 of our rules, we would act upon it. But knowing that we already had this done, and they haven't had a town council meeting, a regular town council meeting to approve this, we're being proactive and preemptive on this, this motion. So that's all I got to say on that. Is there any other? I don't believe it's not debatable, is it, John? Is it even debatable to suspend the rules? Yeah, all right. We'll have to look at that up. But that's the reason why this motion is being made. Is there any discussion? I'll give it up if we need to. Do you have a question, Representative Johansson? Do you have a question?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right, seeing no discussion on this, it's not debatable, so I'm out of order myself, all right? Sorry. Okay, so the motion to suspend the rules requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of suspending the rules for this specific item, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please raise your hand or say no. Are there any abstentions? 2 abstentions, 3 abstentions. All right, we've got Adams, Perella, and Burrill. That means that this motion passes 26 in favor, 0 opposed, 3 abstentions. All right. So if you could please move the number for 2025-415, please.
Motion to recommend a resolution accepting the donations from Electric Boat in the amount of $45,000 and the Fitch High School Booster Club for $5,000 to be used to purchase 2 electronic scoreboards for the Groton Middle School, and to forward the request to accept the $45,000 donation from Electric Boat to the RTM for approval per Rule 6.5.3.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Massett, seconded by Powers S. On item 2025-415, scoreboard funding donation acceptance. I open up the floor for discussion on this. All right, very well. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on this main motion on the floor for scoreboard funding donation acceptance in the amount of $45,000 donation from Electric Boat and $5,000 from the Fitch Athletic Boosters. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Rep. Perella, motion carries 28 to 0 to 1. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go back in order now, and I'm going to turn it over to the town manager for his report.
Good evening. I'm going to keep this kind of short because I have a cold and my throat's starting to get kind of sore. For financials, fund balance for the general fund as of June 30th, 2024 is approximately $40.7 million, which is 25.9% of the FYE 25 general fund budget. And then after that, you may recall I recently sent out a full review of these funds, and that we have enough plan that would bring it down to 17% or so. We do have, let's see, a contingency fund was appropriated at $250,000. We do have upcoming fourth quarter transfers in just about that amount, so that'll bring that down to 0 soon, assuming approval. Capital project, capital reserve fund balance as of April 30th, 25 was $4.5 million. The bulk of that, $3.9 million, is enterprise zone funds that are required to be spent only on capital projects. Quick update, the council will be further discussing athletic fields at their May 27th COW. The town is working with the city on a community infrastructure fund grant for the Shore Avenue Seawall project. We're working closely with that, and I believe the due date's in late June. Golf course, the Parks and Rec has been working with finance and with IT to find new point-of-sale software. They have picked out a vendor, and they're waiting on a timeline for installation. So hopefully they'll have a much better system for the golf course for reservations and tracking funding soon. We did just learn from Department of Transportation through the T2 Center, every community is getting 2 free digital speed signs. I believe the type you see around town occasionally on a pole. I think that's what type we're getting, so that's nice. We have a lot of need for those. And other than that, I just sent everyone my email I sent to for the ECS funding, so you can see what I wrote just as an example. So I just sent that out to everybody. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the town manager? All right, thank you, Mr. Burt. All right, economic development, I believe they had their forum last Thursday. Here, was it here?
Yes,
that they had
they'll
that?
probably be coming. Staff will probably be coming soon for another update to the RTM.
Okay, and is that conversation from Thursday available online if people wanted to look at that?
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay, so if you wanted to see that, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting the name.
Economic Development Commission.
Oh, the Economic Development Commission, and was it
Oh, the POCD? one? Oh, I
POCD,
think
I'm
I'm
sorry,
okay.
yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, the POCD is under the planning department, yes, that public hearing was, or public input session, I should say.
Okay.
Is online.
All right, great, thank you. All right, moving forward, we're chugging along here, we're going back in order to committee reports. Chair Casper, no committee, no report. Roger that. And now I'm going to go to Finance Chair Powers. Always keeping busy over there. 2024-1077, adoption of retaining of excess tax payments ordinance resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We had a special agenda meeting tonight and beginning at 6:37. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. We had a special meeting tonight for this ordinance. It started at 6:37. Representatives Norman, Pulaski, Umbris, and Chair Powers were present. Dean Shinbrot, Representative Fritchie, and Representative Gardner were excused. Melissa McGuire was there. She explained the ordinance. I'm going to ask Representative Norman to please read it into the record at this time.
Where at? Hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, you're good.
Now you're not.
Rebecca's working
Now
on
am
it.
I here?
Oh, yeah, you're totally here.
Great. Whereas pursuant to Section 12-129 of the General Statutes, the legislative body of a municipality by charter may authorize the tax collector to retain payments in excess of the amount due if less than $5. And whereas the town charter and Connecticut state statutes authorize municipalities to adopt ordinances affecting their municipality, and whereas the town council held a public hearing at their March 4th, 2025 meeting, and the ordinance was recommended for the resolution at the Committee of the Whole, March 11th, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the town council hereby adopts ordinance retaining excess tax payments for amounts less than $5 and refer it to the RTM. So moved.
Second, Leanne.
Okay, and again, if you've been here before, when we do ordinances, we're basically having a discussion about this ordinance. The ordinance itself would go into effect, and we do no action. If we wanted to veto the ordinance, we would have to do it by 2/3 majority vote, which would be 20 members present in order to veto this resolution passed at the town council level. So if you have any questions regarding this, or you want to share the minutes, that'd be great.
I'd like to share the rest of the minutes, please.
All right, thank you.
So-
Representative Johansson, I'm sorry, I'm getting some back chatter, and thank you, I appreciate it.
So Melissa McGuire was there to explain the ordinance, and we talked about a couple of different things, how the money is so little and how it can be applied to other forms of taxes in town if someone has a refund coming to them. And another part of what it was executing the checks and the checks not being cashed. And then Director Morrison told us a little bit about how that keeps the accounts open. So for efficiency, we all decided that this was a very useful thing to vote for. So Representative Norman moved it. Representative Pulaski seconded it. We voted 4-0. Our meeting adjourned at 6:45. Thank you.
All right. Hold on one sec, because we'll have to approve your minutes, but unless there's a desire by this body to veto it, this will be approved and move along.
Make a motion to accept my minutes.
All right. All right, motion was moved by Powers S., seconded by Representative Good to approve the minutes from this evening's Finance Committee. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, calling for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. All right, any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously, 29-0. Thank you so much. All right, we're moving along here. We are now, more committees, if there are any reports. Chair Burrell, no committee, no report. Public Works, no committee, no report. Chair Watson, I'm going to call on you twice. Any committee reports from both of your committees?
Either one.
All right, thank you. All right, liaison reports. Is there any liaison reports this evening? Rep. Bobry, nothing? Rep. Wells, you're up, sir.
In the interest of moving along, I'll keep it brief. There's a slight decline in revenue for the current fiscal year to date compared to the prior fiscal year to date, but a slight increase for the 4-year fiscal year to date. So we're doing all right. That's the golf course.
All right, thank you. I thought I had a little more time. I always like hearing about the golf course. It's looking good out there.
Failure, and I missed Zoom for both meetings.
All right,
last
yeah,
2 meetings.
you know, it's all good, man. We appreciate you serving on that liaison task. All right, moving on. Any other liaison reports? All right. Budget discussions. I open up the floor for budget discussions. I was actually just trying to work on my phone here to try to multitask and get some numbers out there for people. As we all just got an email today, our Groton delegation had informed us that there's some significant reductions that may come down the pike on ECS funding. This would be in a 2-year, 10-year spread. Could be significant. They're in the middle of this process right now, so the time to act, if there was a desire by the constituents here in this room, as well as the folks at home, to contact people. So the one contact information I do have is the Senate Pro Tem, Senator Martin Looney. That's MARTINLooney.LOONey@cga.ct.gov. All right, so that's Senate Pro Tem Martin Looney, and also his Chief of Staff is Courtney Cullinan, COURTNEY.CULLINAN@cga.ct.gov. As I was saying, I was kind of flipping on my phone. I can only assume that these are 860 numbers, but the Speaker of the House is Matthew Ritter, 860-240-8500. Majority Leader is Jason Rojas, 860-240-8500, same number. I guess that's the number over there in the leaders for the General Assembly. And feel free, again, all of these, if we know budgets and approval processes, everything goes through the Connecticut General Assembly, but has to get signed off by the governor. Governor Ned Lamont's office phone number is 860-566-4840. So if there's a desire by anyone in the community to try to rectify this situation, I would highly recommend it. Town Manager Burt put a well-articulated letter out. I think a copy, paste, and edit would be in order, that if you're compelled to do so. All right? Any other budget discussion? I'm going to open it up for the floor before I give you my twin pennies here. All right. So I know there's been discussion over the past few weeks about reconsideration. So I just wanted to give everybody some clear guidance on, if this is the desire of the body to do so, this is what would need to happen once we adjourn this meeting and then come back from recess, which would be shortly after this this meeting adjourns. The full sequencing would be this. First, we would have to do a motion. Someone would have to make a motion to suspend the rules, so the RTM, to add an agenda item for reconsideration of the Board of Ed education budget from the past budget on May 1st, 2025 RTM budget meeting. That would require a 2/3 majority vote in order to do that. And again, there's no debate on that. It would just be a suspension of the rules, second, and then we would vote on that measure. We would need 20 members present. If that's successful, the second motion would be to reconsider the final vote of $92,004,575 for the education budget approved at the May 1st, 2025 RTM annual budget meeting. That would require only a simple majority of the members present here. I'm almost done. After that, we would go back to the main motion on the floor. If that was approved, and I'd put the main motion as the motion number that we had approved. The typical and basic rules of order apply. We would could have a first, could have a second number on the floor. If the main motion number were to succeed, then that would be the end of it. If there was a first or a second amended figure that was higher than the number that we approved, we are all aware that restoration of funds from the town council's number would require a 2/3 majority vote as well, which would be 20 members of the members present here. All right, and there could be amendments, like I had mentioned, but they would all require a 2/3 going higher than what we've already approved. All right, so I just wanted to give you guys that information. If I was too fast in explaining it or any questions on it, please let me know. Representative Watson, followed by Fox.
The person or a person, if they chose to move to suspend the rules, does that have to be a person that was on the prevailing side last time?
No, the only one that has to be on the prevailing side is the one that is going to make the motion to reconsider.
Thank you.
Representative Fox?
The suspension of the rules, where is that referenced? How do we look at what that?
It's a Robert's Rule of Order procedure.
Oh, it's a Robert's Rules?
Yeah, so
it's
again,
not in the charter and not in the.
It's not in our rules, but the default mechanism in our rules states if we don't have it in this rule packet,
Yes.
then Robert's Rules of Order keep our order.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Representative Whitney.
I'm just wondering what the time frame would have to be if that were going to be brought up, because there's been some question about whether it has to happen. Like, is it just within the window where we're talking about budget? If that was something people decided to do?
Specific to the reconsideration, in proper form, if it was one meeting, if there was only one meeting, like tonight, and we made a vote on something like we did today for scoreboards, and someone wanted to reconsider that scoreboard, tonight would be, at the end of this meeting, someone would have to say, we want to reconsider it. When we have a long meeting, such as the one that we have with the budget process that goes over multiple nights, in common fashion, the next meeting, you have to declare that you want to reconsider it and bring it up. The reason why that there's an opportunity for us to still bring it up is because we are putting in that, the preceding motion, which is going to be the motion to suspend the rules and what I had relayed to everybody here prior. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it would have to happen during the budget session, or can people bring it up down the road if, say, the Board of Ed comes and it turns out there are going to be like positions cut and stuff? I'm wondering what kind of time frame.
Well, I would have to, it would have to be the last night of our meeting, which would be May 19th. We wouldn't be able to go on beyond that date.
Okay.
All right? Unless we had an extra day scheduled or something like that, but the town clerks did a great job on organizing our schedule this year. Thank you. All right, if there's no other budget discussion, there's other business. Oh, other business. The Groton Beautification Committee has reached out to, one of the members has reached out to me. There is a plan to organize a little cleanup at the Groton Police Department. If anybody's available, we're working on scheduling it for this Saturday, 8 to 8:30. Show up, bring some gloves and get your hands dirty. We're just going to do a light cleanup, maybe a little mulch, and it's... No, a couple of years ago, I think it was during COVID, the town council at that time, I believe Representative Aubry, then town councilor Aubry, organized a Groton Beautification Committee with some of the other membership. So throughout the town, they've been organizing volunteers to work on certain areas and build, as best as they can, native pollination gardens with perennials. I'm a plant guy by nature. I love it, and I've been happy to help out whenever I can. I know Representative Good has been out there, as well as others in the community that have done trash pickups. They've also built new garden beds. People have donated stuff as well. I believe even Groton Utilities organized a big pollinator plant give to the Town Hall Annex. The Town Hall Annex is next too. There's a lot of mugwort in there, so we got to get that out of there. So if you ever stop by, pull out some weeds or something, okay? Just don't throw them in your compost. It's going to be bad for your compost. Yes, Representative Aubry. Yeah, it's okay. Stand if you're able.
If I might, I'd just like to add a couple of other things that have happened with the beautification committee. We have a small group, but they're hardworking. And in the spring, we're going to be dedicating a fish down at the beach. It's a fish shape, and it's to explain about the fact that things that don't go in the ocean, they go in the rubbish. And Missy House has done a great job putting that together.
Might I ask, I'm sorry to interrupt, where is that, what beach is that going to? Esker Point? Esker
no.
Point?
Where?
Esker Point Beach?
Yes,
Okay.
Esker Point.
Gotcha.
And we'll have a dedication for that, and hopefully we're going to put a program together where the kids at the school, whatever the superintendent of schools chooses as the group, will be choosing a name. And we're also going to be dedicating a statue to the Little League field. It's just a small one. It says batter up, but something a little special because I don't know if any of you have noticed, but we've cleaned up that entire area, and it really looks a whole lot better now. And if you go somewhere and you see some flowers that weren't there before, we probably put them there. I have to tell you, I don't know one flower from another. But it's fun to get everybody together and do these different projects, and they're really coming together nicely. We're going to be working on Long Hill this summer, where we're going to be putting trees in. And so try to make it look a little bit better. But any ideas you have, we appreciate them. And if you'd like to come to one of our meetings, we'd appreciate that. You can watch it on Zoom. And if we all help, it'll all happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Aubry. Again, I cannot stress enough, it's a worthwhile opportunity. If you see in your districts an area of need in a public space that needs some planting, some mulching, or anything like that, please give me a call and or give Representative Aubry a call, and we'll try to organize something to get that place look great. One added note is the ball field looks really good. They've cleared out a lot of brush and stuff like that. You also have a nesting pair of osprey that are on the top of the light stanchion. They first came in last year, and I identified them. I was a steward for that nest because I was the first one to discover it, along with one of my other colleagues. And now they're back, and they're going to be actually having a clutch this year, which is fantastic. Side note, sorry, I love birds. All right. Yes, one more thing, Representative Aubry.
I just wanted to mention, and I should have said this at the very beginning, we would not have been as successful as we have been, or as we will grow even more successful, without the assistance of the town manager. He has been absolutely phenomenal. As we run into bumps in the road, he gets rid of them for us. So I want to thank John very much.
Hear, hear. All right, is there any other business before we adjourn this meeting? Then we're going to take a brief recess. There's some snacks over before we get back into the budget. I made popcorn. I did not put a sign on it. It's homemade. It's 3-oil blend. It's got coconut oil, olive oil, and avocado oil on it. So if you're allergic to those things, don't eat it. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, motion to adjourn was moved by Aubry, seconded by Adams. Oh yeah, we're not debating that. Let's move along. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Aye. Abstentions? All right, so this motion is adjourned. This meeting is adjourned. We are going to reconvene, take 10 minutes. I'd like to get back on these accounts so we can finish up. Get 10 minutes, so please be back, 8:15. All right, welcome back. We are out of recess from our annual budget meeting. It is 8:29. We have some accounts to deal with this evening. There are, sorry, I have a, there we go. We have 4 accounts to deal with tentatively right now. Representative Frickman.
Going back to my, I think, could I make a motion now to suspend the rules?
Yes, you may.
To reconsider, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to reconsider the school budget.
All right, let me help you along here, sir. All right, and then you could just, if I will entertain a motion to suspend the RTM rules by adding an agenda item for reconsideration of the Board of Education budget motion passed at the May 1st, 2025 RTM annual budget meeting. Is that what you're trying to make a motion about, Representative Frickman?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, so the motion has been made. It has also been seconded. Representative Gardner A. was the second. Motion made by Frickman to suspend the rules. This is going to require a 2/3 majority vote. I believe we still have 29 members present. Yes, there's 29 members present. That means 2/3 vote would require a 20 vote in the affirmative in order to suspend the rules. All right, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote on this, please.
Okay, Representative Adams?
Absolutely not.
Burrell?
Can we just get order? We got a roll call
Casper?
vote?
DeGraffenwright?
Yes.
Dutton?
No.
Fitzgerald?
No.
Fox?
Yes.
Frickman?
Yes.
Garner A?
Yes.
Gibbs?
No.
Good?
Yes.
Hume? No. Johansson?
Are you a yes or a no on the motion to suspend? Yes? Okay.
Kaden? Yes. Massett?
Yes.
Matter? No. McElroy? Yes. Norman? Yes. Norris?
No.
Aubrey?
Yes.
Perella?
Abstain, recuse.
Powers K?
No.
Powers S?
No.
Pulaski?
No.
Omritz?
No.
Watson?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Whitney?
Yes.
And moderator,
I'm abstaining.
that's 15 to 12.
Okay, 15, 12, 1, and the 1 recusal, right?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, so the motion to suspend the rules to reconsider the education budget motion fails. The yeas were 15, the nays were 12, 1 abstention, 1 recusal. You got all the,
Yes.
okay, all right. Okay, moving forward, we've got a couple of agenda items for the chair of the Community Development and Services Committee. I would like to consider the body entertain a motion for $3,718,146. All right. Oh, well, you made the motion. All right, so the motion was moved by Representative Powers S., seconded by Casper. If there was some, if you don't mind me taking over for a second, I'm just going to give you the numbers. The main motion on the floor, I'll put on the board.
Can we do a page number?
I'm getting there. Give me a second.
Did he combine them?
When you have a moment.
He combined them?
I don't know what he's doing.
I think he combined them.
All right, I'm gonna walk us along on this journey, folks, okay? The main motion on the floor is for the accounts remaining for community development services for tonight, as well as Thursday night, which is tomorrow. Account 1092, Fire District Pilot. The amount for that is $984,334. Account 1001, Legislative Policy, is $44,200. The account 1006, Legal Services, is $450,000. The account 1010 is Executive Management, $365,000. That's a total of this evening for $1,844,247. I apologize, Representative Aubry. It's on page 186, 53, 63, and 66 of your book. Continuing on, account 1051, Human Services, for the amount of $504,980. Account 7, and that's on page 133 of your book. 7320, Human Services Assistance Fund, $706. Account, and that's on page 138 in the book. 7360, Human Services Assistance Fund, $37,000. That can be found on page 142 of the budget book. 1083, Regional Agencies, that's on page 174 of your book, $163,490. And then 1084, the Health and Services Agencies, including outside agencies, which can be found on page 177 and 179 in your book, total $1,167,723. These are the numbers that were presented by the town manager, passed by the town council, approved in our RTM committee, and now we have the opportunity to act on them now. I ask for any discussion on the main motion on the floor.
Can I just
Representative Whitney.
Can I just ask for clarification? So basically, this is everything that was on tonight and Thursday's slate, except for the Parks and Rec and Senior Activities, Shenny, and Parks and Rec?
And yes, all the assignments that were the community development and services remaining accounts for approval is this whole number right here. The ones that we would be working on tomorrow would be the Parks and Rec Committee's recommendations and the CIPs for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Yes, Chair Casper.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I just have one question. These other items were not on tonight's agenda.
That's right. Yeah, but yes,
It's
it is
one-
one big meeting,
one big
one big
agenda.
agenda, yes.
Okay.
Correct. And again, I tried to clarify myself, if there's a desire for the group to do something different, we may do that. I just propose this considering what we've done in the past few meetings on the comprehensive number of those accounts. Is there any other discussion? Representative Aubry. Can you just get the microphone so we can hear you, please?
Pretend I'm standing up. The fire district pilot.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. The number that we have is 984334. This is something that is the payment in lieu of taxes. This is for fire protection in the districts in the town of Groton, save City of Groton. City of Groton is not in there because they have their own, they tax their own people for that. They are in there. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. If you wanted to get any other information, I'll turn it over to the town manager.
Okay.
I think he's trying to find something. Yeah, you just give us a little boilerplate on that, please.
Sure. Of course, the state land properties in town, is not taxable. But to make up for a portion of that, the state does provide some limited revenues instead called payment in lieu of taxes or pilot. The town has, I think since the 80s, provided some of that funding to the fire department since they don't get any taxes mostly off the state land also. However, the city gets a little bit of pilot dollars directly, but not a ton. The Quantic Bridge fire gets a little bit of money, and then there's at least one more, I believe. So since the 80s, at least, the money's been shared with them. About, I think it's towards the end of 2023, a new policy was adopted by the council on how that money would be, because every year there's argument about what's fair. So the town council approved a policy, I believe it was late 23, and how to distribute those funds. So 50% of the pilot dollars received per policy goes to the fire departments, and then there's a very intricate formula for how it then gets divided out by their tax, mostly based on the taxes lost for state property. Then we also, for town property, we give them $125,000, which has been the same probably since the 80s itself, but it's something to give to them. That one's never been changed. So it's sharing, and we've always done it.
Right. I am somewhat familiar with it, but my question, I guess, really is why do we call it pilot?
That's what the state calls it, payment in lieu of taxes.
All right, because that's a little...
That's the actual, when it comes to us, that's what they call it.
Yeah, it's a little misleading. It should be fire district policies or something like that. But we'll look at it. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's patience.
All right, any other discussion? All right, very well, seeing none. I'm going to call for a vote on the main motion on the floor, $3,718,146, which represents the remaining accounts for approval by this body for the community development and services accounts. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously, 29-0-0. All right. There was one other thing that we got to tidy up for the two of you all. I'm going to start with you, Chair Casper, since we're dealing with you right now. If you could just get a motion. We already did approve your minutes. We did, yeah. All right. Oh, it was Representative Burrill. Representative Burrill, real quick, can we get a motion to approve your Public Safety Committee minutes?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve Public Safety Committee minutes.
Second.
All right, motion was moved, seconded by Powers S. Oh, Adams, sorry, Adams. Just as a clarification note, we had this account last week. In my haste, we left without approving the minutes. I respectfully honor Chair Watson for calling me out for that. So we just wanted to tie up this loose end here. So is there any other discussion on the approval of the minutes for the RTM Public Safety Committee? All right, no thank you. Very well. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously, 29-0-0. So, before I call a recess for the evening, we'll see each other tomorrow, proper time, 6 o'clock. We will be dealing with the Recreation Committee accounts for that this next meeting tomorrow. So, I will call a recess, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, and have a good evening.